This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
Ready to begin your business? Should you be an LLC or a C corporation? How do you track the cost of goods versus operating supplies? What are your depreciable assets? Are you structured to obtain business credit? Not sure? Get a boss. An individual business operations success suite from Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services will position your business for success and avoid the pitfalls of startups. From registering with your state, operating agreements, bookkeeping, tax filings, and more, Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services can be your growth partner at every level of your business. Schedule your needs assessment today at www.elite8financial.com/boss or by phone at 469-412-0056.
Good morning, Boss Talk. I just had a thought, so give me a second here while I make it possible for the folks on Instagram to get this work, because we about to go in. Yeah, buddy. We about to go in. Okay, I can't find it today. Looks like Instagram just moves stuff around. I don't know what that's about, but nevertheless, we're going to get it in anyway. So here's the thing. Tell you right now, you're not going to like me for this one, but we're going to have an honest conversation. And it's Wednesday, so here's how we're going to start this conversation. Clearly, y'all didn't see me on Monday and Tuesday, and that's because I had no power. I had no internet, and that's okay, and we're going to talk about why. But first, we're going to do a little housekeeping. If you're watching on YouTube, we want you to go ahead and copy the link and share the video. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and share out the video. If you're not scared, I understand that some of y'all can't afford to have somebody talking like this on your page or whatever. So, I get that. And give StreamYard permission to use your name. Let me know where you're tuning in from so we can shout you out. My name is George Dandridge Jr. I'm the founder and enrolled agent at Dandridge Investment Group, parent company to Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, which brings us right into the tax tip. So we're going to keep this one short. Here's your tax tip. The IRS decided not to extend the filing deadline this year, making this the shortest tax filing season in recorded history. So, since a lot of you have some extra time on your hand due to the winter storm and everything, I strongly advise you to get your documents together. Even if you don't have internet, whatever the case may be, you are in position to have that sitting gathered and whatnot. So when you do have normal conditions, you can get that going again. Shout out to Coach Tawana. I could have did better. That's all I'm going to say about that. But see you Saturday, and we'll have that taken care of by Saturday. So Next part we're going to get into is the so you guys have heard me say this all the time, and yeah, I'm moving through these kind of quick because I don't know how long I'll have power, internet, and there's some work I have to get done and whatnot, but I didn't want to cheat you guys out of your normal week in Boss Talk Radio. So the motivation here, we're calling this episode Plain Lessons in Complex Applications. It's really, really simple. It's choices. Everybody has choices. There's really no way around that situation. Everybody has choices. What's crazy is the entitlement, specifically in America, but it's worldwide, but specifically in America, the sense of entitlement that I should have responsibility or accountability for your choices. Make it make sense. Help me understand that. We're dealing with a historic winter storm that blanketed the entire country. And there's, like with almost any other topic, there's a little bit of a divide going on where people up north are saying, hey, suck it up. People down south saying, hey, this isn't the norm. This is records. There was no way to be prepared, whatever. And that's the part we're going to have an honest conversation about. But, and I probably shouldn't have started with motivation. I probably should have went ahead and started with the term of the week, this one we're going to use. But on the motivation side, there's always tragedy. There's always a lesson in tragedy. The question or the key becomes whether or not we learn from that tragedy. There's nothing in life that I've experienced that was bad that didn't teach me something in the process. Now, if I'm being honest, some of those lessons I had to bump my ass and learn the hard way, go through it a time or two because I didn't get it the first time. But that's the thing. You gonna get it, Hey, Brunei. Hey, check your email, Brunei. I been trying to get with you because I need to get your portal set up. So right now in the South, specifically in Texas, where I am, there's the same storm that everybody else is dealing with. And what's like really, really crazy is I'm all the way up in Dallas, and this thing is going down past San Antonio. That's just unheard of. That's just record stupid or whatever. This is really 2021 saying 2020 ain't got nothing on me. But, there's this mix of emotion and empath and real things. And sometimes it's hard to, as they say in the church house, rightfully divide that situation. So I'm going to try to make it a little clearer to you because I think I'm in a uniquely privileged position to tell everybody the truth, which is something that most people don't want to deal with. Everybody wants to have their particular side of the truth heard. What's going on, Gary Cole? What's going on, Mr. Cartwright? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in this morning. So that truth is you have to be self-actualized. The cavalry isn't coming. It's all on you. We have choices and we have consequences for the choices that we make. So with that said, here's what I'm gonna hit you with is this word for the word for the week is proverb. A proverb is a simple, concrete, traditional saying that expresses a perceived truth based on common sense and experience. Now, we already know because of who George is that what we're going to focus on right now is this part about common sense, because it ain't that common these days. But we say these key little phrases all the time, and yet we don't adhere to them. Things like you get what you pay for. you know. I tell you guys all the time, hey, when the waters are still and calm, that's the time to set the sails, because it's virtually impossible to catch the momentum of the wind when the water is choppy. And, I truly, truly believe in that. And this storm has kind of shown us that in a way, because most people in Texas, unless they live, outside of the suburb areas, on some serious acreage or whatever, or they're the type of people that are really outdoors and camping type people, most of them don't have generators, and the thing is that they're not like less than intelligent for not having generators, because when you put it in the grand scheme of things, hey, what this was a record, like we hit some of the lowest temperatures in history on these particular dates anyway. And the snow ice situation is, the snow and everything is usually about every 3 to 4 years, but about every 10 years it gets this bad or whatever, or not even this bad, but significant, as people up north would say. And people up north are saying, well, hey, why don't you guys have this? Why don't you guys do that, this, for that, and the other? And it's the same reason that you guys can't survive a hurricane, because you're not used to it. But at the same time, there are some basic survival do's and don'ts that apply to whatever side of the natural disaster part of the United States you want to live on, whether it's the forbidden colds up north, or the hurricanes down south, or the earthquakes out west, whatever, wherever you at, there's some things you have to deal with, and you guys are going to react to it based on this word right here, experience. Experience teaches you things. Case in point, had a lot of work to do this week. Lost power sometime on, lost internet on Monday, lost power on Tuesday, came back on late last night or whatever. Internet back up this morning for the time that is up. It may go out again, so we hope we make it through this broadcast. But George doesn't have a generator. And some people might say, well, George should have a generator. Well, George doesn't have a generator because it doesn't hold any value for me. Doesn't cost that much. I think a good generator is probably about $300, $350. And if we're being honest, that's my normal monthly Vice cigar crown thing. So it's nothing to have gotten one or whatever, but in the grand scheme of things, this just doesn't happen that often. The other part of that is that, hey, when it happens, because I didn't do these things to prepare, I'm not going to complain about it. What did I do yesterday? It was dark all day. It was cold all day. Fired up the grill, threw a brisket on there, threw some leg quarters on there, had my peace moments, doing what I do or whatever, just to make use of time, not be bored or whatever. And, make sure that if we had an extended period of time without power or whatever, that, hey, we have some food to eat or whatever the case may be. I mean, what's the objective here? Stay warm, don't go hungry, right? And the cool part about, this thing about staying warm is, and you may not be able to appreciate this, but as a matter of fact, when it's cold, there's no limit to the amount of clothes you can put on to stay warm. Like, I don't get how some people will sit there and shiver, like you have more clothes to put on, more blankets or whatever to put on. But when it's hot, like it gets in Houston, San Antonio, and the likes, you can only get so naked. So when the power is off in the summertime, this is a whole lot worse. Somebody said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's one of those proverb sayings, and it just makes sense. But when you're not ready, you can't complain about not having gotten ready. The other part of that choice, though, is this. Here's what people up north didn't know, and here's what people down south won't accept. Y'all ready for this? Y'all like the damn fool. Wait, well, you know what? I gotta set this one up right. as I was saying, y'all act a damn fool. The whole country been acting a damn fool for the last year regarding these elections and whatnot on a national stage. And people like me point this out to you all the time. You need to be concerned with what's happening locally. You know, this is where your day-to-day is impacted. You know, whoever's sitting in the White House, that's not going to impact your day-to-day. That's some future stuff and fixing past stuff, you know. But situations like this is not a result of a historic winter storm. Let's be clear on that. The storm is just the thing that created the consequences to the lesson you didn't want to learn on here. The lesson over here is know who and what the hell you are voting for. And most of y'all don't. Some of y'all only vote every 4 years, and if you look down the ballot, you just start pressing buttons or whatever, and you have no idea what you're really getting into. Well, this is the result of what we call deregulation. Somebody thought that competition was a good idea, and it is. I'm all for it. And they figured, well, hey, in order to do that, let's deregulate this whole energy thing or whatever, let competition come in, drive down prices, woo. Problem with that is deregulation, what we call a lack of regulation, means that there's an opportunity for a lack of standard. And when you're dealing with money, integrity gets involved in that. And a lot of people lose integrity when it comes to money. And so what happens is now Texas was able to save money. They're not up to national standards. Freak of nature happens. They're not ready to handle it. All about the election process, you know, a little bit different than what happens in my home city of New Orleans, where it's just corrupt. And no matter how much money comes through there, stuff don't get fixed. You know, this fishbowl has been underwater since forever, and the slightest, you know, storms or whatever, the pumps are always backed up, cities flooding, you know, and they're still in denial and call it conspiracy theory when you prove that certain areas are protected. There's some heat in Texas right now. To some people are saying, well, Highland Park was never without power the whole time. We're going to take this back to a tax lesson. We're going to put this whole thing together. Don't be mad that Highland Park did not lose power, and I don't have any independent verification that they didn't, but this is what I've been reading down my timeline or whatever. But understand that this is one of, not the, but one of the richest suburbs in Dallas, Texas. Understand that because of that, it's not the complexion that's being protected or the reason that they're not without power. It is because they have the larger tax resources. They pay a larger tax amount in property taxes and such. And those taxes, because they vote their interests, are then put to the use in public works, which at that point protects them from situations like this. The investment is made in infrastructure in order to not have that type of situation. But you guys, you know, throw away your vote like, you know, use tissue paper. You throw away your money indiscriminately. And, you know, I mean, when you put it in perspective, a generator costs the same as a bottle in the club costs or whatever. What's going on, Mr. Anderson? Thank you for dropping in on this, my man out there in Philly. You know, but a generator and a bottle in a club cost about the same thing. And you guys will, you know, ball out in the club every year or whatever. And again, I can say this honestly because I don't have a generator. I just went through a no power, no internet, couldn't work situation. But I'm not complaining about the power situation or whatever. It's like, hey, it's cold. Put on, you know, another layer of a sweatsuit or whatever. and this morning got power back. I'm sitting here in my G. Hefner pajamas or whatever, and, got a little power. I'm going to get some work done while I have an opportunity to do it. But going back to the whole Proverbs thing, all of these little lessons and little things that's said that you hear your whole life growing up or whatever, they have meaning and there's lessons in that, and you guys will just blow past it every time and get that ass spanked while you try to get this, this thing through this thing called life, focusing on all the wrong stuff. So here's another part I want to talk to y'all about, because somebody's gonna see this. They're gonna get their drawers in their booty and be like, well, you need to be more sensitive. Somebody died, and people are dying because they cold, and people are dying because they put carbon monoxide in their house. Some things, hey, if you put a generator in your house, one of the reasons I don't have a generator, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I even saw somebody had a propane tank in their house. Like, what the hell was you thinking? But they're like, yeah, you need to be more sensitive. Well, stupid is stupid is what they always tell me. And it goes back to this. Death is a part of life. This is the hardest thing that most of us have to accept ever. Death is a part of life. When you can accept that you were born dying and the shit is inevitable, you're in a little bit better place to deal with things. When you accept that the people that you know are all going to die, it's just a question of whether they died before or after you. Once you accept that truth or whatever, you can handle things a little bit better. Now, going back to that part about setting the sails when the water is still, here's the reality. Some people drove out in the wintry conditions that don't normally have to do so, and they quickly found out that their SUVs were just really fancy minivans or whatever because it couldn't handle these conditions. They bought up all the generators, all the wood, all the toilet paper or whatever, and they were trying to manage this through, hard winds and choppy waters. Well, when the whole thing was set to last for 3 or 4 days, and some people say, well, 4 days below freezing temperatures is a long time. Tell that to people in upstate New York, Chicago, etc., Minnesota, places like that, Wisconsin. I'm sure they get through many, 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 many winters or whatever. Well, we're in Texas. We're not equipped for that. Put on a blanket, put on another set of clothes. But here's the other part of that. Since we know that we're all born dying, how about this? Are you going to wait till after you die to get life insurance? Some things you can't come back from. Some things is actually too late to do. I want you to marinate on that. If people are dying as a result of the cold, is this not yet another opportunity that life is telling you, hey, protect your interests? A lot of us are out here about the accumulation part, but there's another side to this. What good is it to accumulate a bunch of stuff if none of it's protected? Imagine having a mansion, 4, 5, 6 cars, RVs, etc., but you're living at the top of your budget, but you have all of this stuff, and just random fire, whatever happens, and all of this is burnt down or whatever, you have to earn it back to replace it because you didn't have insurance. Yet we'll value insurance on all of these things over and above our life. Somebody asked this question. Is that a generational thing or prioritizing your necessities? This is definitely a matter of prioritizing your necessities. And there is some generational influence on where your priorities are placed, but we would like to think, or we would hope that as people get older and mature, that those priorities kind of have a shift. For some, that actually never happens. Sad thing, but it is what it is. So we encourage you guys to prioritize the things that you need in life from an insurability standpoint. And I'm not just talking about life insurance. I'm talking about being prepared. I forget which organization that was. Was it Boy Scouts that said always be prepared? Now reality is, I spent a little time in the military or whatever, grew up in New Orleans. I can go through some things. I've been through some things. Everybody ain't built for it, but if you know damn well you ain't built for it, prepare before it happens to have things in place so you can get through it. And that's all it's about. That's what life is, just getting through so you can do what you do. This has been your host, George Dandridge. You've been tuned in to Boss Talk Radio. I may or may not see you guys tomorrow, depending on how we're doing with energy or whatever. But, it is what it is. If not, we'll see you guys on Friday.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.